Then again, Derek never said a word when Jeremy would disappear late of an evening with a comely wench on his arm, so not all of the boys' fun was being curtailed. Come to think of it, Percy couldn't remember a single time in the past year, since Derek had taken his young cousin under his wing, that Jeremy hadn't found a willing female with whom to occupy a few very private hours, whether the three young men had ended up in a lively tavern, in an expensive house of Eros, or at one of society's many gatherings. The boy had the most devilish luck where women were concerned. Women of all ages, whores and ladies alike, found this youngest male Malory quite irresistible. In that respect he was taking after his father, James, and his uncle Anthony Malory. Those two Malory brothers, the younger of four, had set the town on fire in their day with the scandals their affairs had generated. Derek, the only son of the oldest Malory brother, was just as lucky with women for that matter, although much more discreet and discerning about whom he chose to favor, so that the few scandals he'd been embroiled in since he'd come of age hadn't concerned women at all. Having thought it over, Percy summoned the barmaid to him and whispered in her ear. The two cousins watching him knew exactly what he was doing, ordering the next round and arranging, supposedly on the sly, to have the water left out of Jeremy's drink. It was all the cousins could do not to burst out laughing. But Derek, noting the girl's frown and that she was about to tell the young lord that none of the previous drinks she'd served had contained any water, had to quickly catch her eye to give her a nod and a wink so she'd know they were just having some sport and go along with it. She did, smart girl, grinning as she left. Derek would have to see that the pretty miss was compensated, though not as she might like. She'd turned all of her ample charms on him when they'd first come in, but having another assignation already arranged for the wee hours, he hadn't encouraged her. This was a tavern they often frequented, but this girl was new. He'd try her eventually. They all would if she kept the job long enough, but not tonight, since they'd all scored right handily at the Shepford's annual season-opening ball earlier in the evening. It was a ball he and Jeremy had been ordered to attend, since it was where their youngest cousin, Amy, had made her official debut into society. She'd been allowed to attend a few other affairs since she'd turned 16, but no balls, and certainly not decked out as she'd been tonight. Gad, but the little minx had quite stunned them in all her finery, at least the men in the family, and the whole Malory clan had been in attendance. When the devil had sweet, impish Amy turned into such a ravishing, sensual beauty? It was a good question to put forward, just to get Percy's mind off his collusion with the barmaid. Knowing Percy as he did, and Derek knew him well, since they'd been chumming together for years now, the dear fellow was more than likely to blurt out what he'd done, because Percy quite simply couldn't keep a secret, even one of his own. So to distract Percy, Derek raised the matter to Jeremy. "You've been Amy's choice as escort lately, whenever her brothers aren't available. Why is it you never gave us warning that the minx had blossomed overnight?" Jeremy just shrugged. "Who says it was overnight? Those clothes Aunt Charlotte insisted Amy wear hid what was there, but it's been there for some time now. It just takes a discerning eye." Derek nearly choked to contain his laughter. "Good God, man! She's your cousin. You're not supposed to notice such things in a cousin." "You're not?" Jeremy was genuinely surprised. "Well, hell's bells! Where's it written?" "Likely in your father's book," Derek replied with a pointed look. Jeremy sighed now. "I suppose. He made a bloody fuss about it whenever I admired Regan a bit longer than he thought necessary." Regan was also their cousin, and the one niece whom the older Malory brothers had had a hand in raising, though only Jeremy and his father called her Regan. It didn't bother Derek in the least to hear her called that, not as it did his own father and two other uncles. The rest of the family called her Reggie, though her actual name was Regina, and the dear girl had married Derek's closest friend, Nicholas Eden, several years ago. "But I didn't say I was interested in Amy," Jeremy clarified as he continued, "just that I'd noticed she'd filled out nicely in all the right places." "Noticed her, too," Percy put in unexpectedly. "Been biding my time, waiting for her come out, thinking of courting her myself." Both cousins sat forward in protective alarm upon hearing that, and in that they were so...